it's a vicious cycle because you never know. You never know what Michael you may get. You may get the cool one, calm one. 2 seconds later, I may be the beast. The 9/11 happened, and less than a month later, I'm shipping out to California for boot camp and got my job title as machine gunner.
Try getting up there.
We were one of the first to push in of Iraq when they declared war in 2003. At that point, I think I was maybe 19 or 20. Happened really quick. It's not fun by any means. You hear the rounds tinking off the side of the tracks, and about every day was battle after battle, several hour firefights. It was just close quarters, urban fighting from sun up to sundown. 1 minute be nice and calm, next minute you're in another firefight calling for more rounds because you're running out of rounds. It's like, wow, what did we get ourselves into at this point? You see some things that no human should really see. It's just kind of, we got back and just kind of thrown back into the civilian world, expect to adapt back to civilization normally after everything we just saw and went through and endured.
Local veterans say they are losing more friends at home than they did overseas.
They are the invisible signs of war, but they can be just as deadly.
Since 9/11, 4 times as many service members and veterans have died by suicide than have died in combat.
The results were startling. It was much higher than 17 a day. The true number we actually saw was closer to 44 veterans per day.
Sir,
I want to thank you for your service and what you've done while you was over there.
thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and welcome Marine Combat Achievement Award recipient, veteran and friend of AFC, Mr. Michael Payne.
I mean, it's a serious thing. You take another person's life. There's definitely a moral, spiritual conflict that we don't have to deal with. You know, you and I don't deal with it. But it is at a monster level that's on their mind every day. It sits on them.
I endured so much loss and suffering, I learned how to hide the pain, mostly with alcohol. You should know all this information because in 2017, I almost became part of the 22 a day number.
They come home and they're traumatized and they self-medicate. They medicate from the VA and all different other ways.
I wrote the notes to my family and kids.
They continue to battle, to fight. But now it's a spiritual battle. Now it's a mental battle. It's a heart issue. It's their soul.
Every day having to put on a smiley face, making everybody think I'm happy-go-lucky and okay. I was just tired, worn out. And then that's when they reached out to another guy I served with, and he's with Mighty Oaks, and that's when they pretty much said, you're coming to this Mighty Oaks outpost. We're halfway through Mighty Oaks. And that's when I broke. And I told him, I said, I'm done. I can't carry this anymore. At that time, I didn't know a whole lot. So I said, I'll try this biblical, faith-based stuff out. I've tried everything else out. At that point, I was on 5 different medications for PTSD. I said, what's it gonna hurt? What do I need to do? I surrender it all. I want him to just take it all.
A Soldier's Child Foundation started in 2007. When we started the organization, we were taking 25 kids a month. They were all combat-related deaths. All of them were. So 7, 8 years ago, we were still at war in Afghanistan and Iraq. And that's when we started clearly seeing less combat deaths and more deaths in PTSD, death by suicide.
The biggest thing is any of the trauma that happens, from now on, you've got to release it.
Yeah.
You can't be holding on. With my trauma, that's how I can relate with those children a lot better than most people. because I've walked that journey. Their PTSD, and I say PTSDs because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what they have. They have a form of PTSD.
It's one thing when you have a child whose dad, got the Bronze Star or died in combat or even training accident, but it's completely different when the child has to move forward with knowing that their father ended their life by themselves. There's an enormous amount of shame. I see it at camp, Giving back to the children of our fallen heroes. I used to have that as a slogan. And I said that at a camp about 10 years ago. And a kid stood up and said, how the F is my father a hero when he shot himself in the head and my mother and I had to clean it up? That happened in a camp environment with like over 100 kids. And immediately when that happened, in the whole room, kids just started crying. It affected everybody, It was rough. It was rough. We got 100 kids in the room, and it might be 60, 70 of them now. Now, in 2025, 2026, that's how they lost their father. It was a shift in the foundation. We're taking those kids on, but now it's like there's a whole nother element to how we are ministering to that child.
Guy I served with, Eric, he committed suicide back in 2019. I was just curious because I knew he had kids. So I asked the staff, I said, well, do y'all have any of the Compton kids? Their father was Eric. And they're like, matter of fact, we do.
Everybody in? You got seatbelts on?
Love you, Mom.
Eric enlisted when he was 18, and immediately after that went to Iraq in 2004 when he was 19.
Okay, I said, well, I served with his dad in the Battle of Fallujah in 2004. He was in my unit.
He was active duty 16 years. He was very close to retirement. I was always under the impression that he just needed to let it out. He had experienced a lot of trauma and it came out in different forms. By the time he sought help in 2016, I just think it was a little bit too late.
Mr. Mike? Yeah? Is the heater make noise? No. Can we turn it on? Please. Please.
I think by the time I heard him put the combination in, I already knew.
I showed up to that camp, and when I was getting there, Daryl's like, oh, by the way, 2 of Eric's boys are at this camp.
Turns out here he is, he's in a hunting blind with the 2 boys of a guy that he had served with. Obviously, it was very moving for him.
And just like me and you were talking, that's what praying is. You can talk to the Lord.
I know you served with that.
Okay.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. His first actual military unit he ever got assigned when he started his Marine Corps career was in the unit I was with. That's the biggest thing. You don't need to be angry at him.
Yeah, I'm thankful.
Huh?
I'm thankful that he protected our country.
Because at the end of the day, he's actually a hero.
I think Mike lives with that his kids could have been in our foundation. So he's highly motivated. He gives his life now to the children of our fallen.
It's a mixed emotions, and it can be sad because I can see Eric in them. I can see Eric in them. I can see the mannerisms and stuff like that. You see Eric, but it's also rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, maybe one. I think he fought his demons for a very long time.
Chief Warrant Officer 2, Compton.
Let me see.
And that's, I'm incredibly thankful for. But the night he gave up, he just transferred all of that onto me and the kids.
This is the truth. The veteran today that is where that war is raging inside them for their own life, they believe the lie that their families are better off without them. That's honestly what they think. And I scream back to them and say, no, they are not. They are not. Listen, here's the deal. I'm with your kids. The pain that you thought you ended, it didn't end. It was transferred. That's what happened. It's now on them, and they're carrying it.
Psalms 107:14 says, He brought them out of darkness and the shadows of death and broke their chains in peace. King Jesus is who he says he is.
What you just watched is the reality facing thousands of veterans and their families right now. I've seen it firsthand, but I can tell you there is hope in Jesus for our veterans struggling with PTSD. That's why we're making this documentary. Now I'm sharing this with you because we need partners to help us finish this film. Individuals and organizations who see the crisis at hand and refuse to look away. If that is you, please reach out to me via my email or cell phone number listed below for more information. Together, we can get this film in front of veterans and families who need it the most. This is your invitation to be a part of Out of the Shadows. Will you join us?